From texting to tweeting, millennials are changing technology in the workplace. Apps popular among younger workers growing fast, like office chat room service Slack, which is reportedly valued at $9 billion. Joining us on our millennial panel, attorney Christi Kunzig. Christi, do you think millennials are really changing the way that people work?
I think they absolutely are, and it's something that I encounter on a daily basis in my office. One of the things millennials are really into would be, instead of walking to somebody else's office and going in to talk to a boss or a coworker, they actually prefer to email them, and a lot of the older coworkers don't necessarily like that. They kind of have a problem, and they expect you to walk into their office, and we're immersed in technology, so it's just easier and faster for us to just send an email.
Lindsey, what do you think?
Well, I do think technology is also playing a part, too, because I know a lot of my friends and even my employer allows us to work from home 1 day a week, or depending on where you live, maybe 2 days a week. So I think it's a little mixture of both, but I think that you can't forget the personal interaction with people. I think also is very important in the workplace.
Well, we've talked about this, that like, in terms of teenagers, there is such a low percentage of people who have summer jobs now.
Yeah.
It's roughly like 35–36%. It was north of 50 back in the late 80s. And that reduces people's, I mean, one, you don't work when you're young. You don't develop the kind of personal skills that are necessary, and then you rely on technology, and it does change the way that we work.
I'm going to say something controversial.
Please say, please. I expect that, Harlan.
So I actually think there's a direct correlation between that, the decline in summer jobs amongst high school kids and college kids, and immigration. So you have an influx of cheap labor that's coming in, and it's driving. You literally don't have high school kids mowing lawns anymore. So I believe there's a direct correlation
because the supply of labor is coming from elsewhere. But how about just a lack of work ethic? Come on.
No, I mean, you learn work ethic,
because mom and daddy
too.
don't make them bring home money. My parents made me work.
Yeah,
so like,
me too.
Basically, you're going to have to pay rent here.
15 years old.
Right. I mean, I can name all the horrific jobs that made me a better person that I had, starting when I was in high school, helping women try on bathing suits in a fitting room at the beach.
Oh,
nothing worse than that.
God bless your soul.
I want to move on to this. If you never liked Harry Potter books or avocado toast, maybe you aren't a millennial. There's a professor in Australia who's reportedly claiming that people born between 1977 and 1983 should be known as Xenials, the Xenial Generation instead. This would be between Gen X, I guess, and millennials. This is because they spent a large part of their childhood without access to a computer and were college age when Facebook was invented. So I also want to bring in Richard Fowler on this. Richard, again, as a strategist, you are about branding and communication. So what do you make of this?
Well, I'm not a big fan of avocado toast, and I gotta honestly say, maybe I'm the only millennial that didn't read Harry Potter. So I don't know if that's
you were reading Das Kapital instead.
Yeah, or the New York Times or the Washington Post.
No,
I don't know.
I'm just joking with you.
But you know, I think it's one of these things where when people continue to sort of make these assumptions about our generation, and I love it because 90% of people that write about our generation aren't from our generation. It's like they're trying to examine us like some sort of endangered species of some sort, and they're like, look, there goes the millennial on the plane, there goes the millennial eating, and look how the millennial eats. And so
that is true, because there are just as many, if not more, people eating avocado toast who are my age than millennials. Lindsey, you're going to say something.
Well, I would like to add that I am at the higher end of so I'd be considered a Xenial, or however you say it, and I do think that us on the older end probably do feel a little bit different than what we see and interact with on the lower end of the millennial range. So I don't know that we need a different name for ourselves, but
you don't want to be associated with this generation until you hit 40, and then it will be a stigma when you're not. So there are many millennials who are worried about their retirement, and we were even talking about this in the break. According to a Wells Fargo survey, 64% of working millennials believe they'll never save $1 million for their future. Harlan, I think it's because people they want to spend the money now. They want to enjoy the money that they earn while they're young, rather than they kind of setting this, oh, at 65, I'm really going to start living and pursuing my likes and dislikes.
Well, I think we're also looking to our parents, and we're seeing that because of the Great Recession, they're putting off retirement too. And so we're like, well, let's live it up now while we can, while we're healthy, before we have kids. and let's travel the world and live good.
Do.
Which
I
travel
do,
a lot.
frankly.
Well, let me.
Also, I mean, other than just
Christi.
traveling and spending now, we also have a lot of student loans, and I know I can speak personally on that. Instead of putting the 10% away that we're supposed to put toward retirement, that's really going toward interest on our student loans. And once you have that paid off, you then move on to, okay, well, now I have kids to raise, and I have a house to buy, and all these other things. So it's not really a feasible option to necessarily put away all this extra money.
I think that's right. I mean, I think the fact that Sally May has all of our direct lines, and she continues to call us and say, I want my money this month, or you're in trouble. But that's problem number one. I think problem number two is the ideal of our parents grew up in an era where there were pensions, and we're growing up in an era with the dismantlement of pensions. So it makes saving for retirement quite problematic.
You know what? Gen Xers have faced that reality as well, too.
Yep.
So that's something that multiple generations share. Richard, good to see you. Richard Fowler, Christi Kunzig. And you guys, we've got one more block to do.